Well, hello everyone. Welcome to this live stream today. In this English lesson today, I'm going to go over a number of jobs that people have, but more than just talking about the name of the job, I'll try to talk about where that person works and how you would interact with them if you needed to go to them or if you needed to hire them. So today's lesson today's topic is people and jobs. So before I get started, I just want to welcome everybody here. It's fun to be here again on a Friday morning. I tried to set the room up so there would be a little bit less echo, but I still hear some. So next week, maybe I'll give that another try. Anyways, if this is your first time here, I'm Bob the Canadian. I teach English on YouTube. If you are interested, you should subscribe by clicking the red button below and give me a thumbs up at some point during this video. Today, again, we're going to be looking at people and the jobs that they do. So let's get started. First one, doctor. I just want to make sure I'm holding this so that you can see it. So you can see here we have a picture of a doctor. So a doctor is someone that you go to when you're sick or when you're injured. So the difference there is when you're sick, you have a cold like a cough or a flu where your stomach is upset and you would go to the doctor. But if you're injured, that's more like if you break your arm, like if your arm is broken, you would visit a doctor, and they would fix you up. Doctors work in a doctor's office, so if you did need to see a doctor, you would call the doctor's office and you would book an appointment with the doctor. Generally, when you first go to see a doctor, you sit in a waiting room. And then when the doctor's ready to see you, they'll call you in and you'll go to a small examination room. That's like a small doctor's office where he can check your temperature with a thermometer, usually under your tongue, and then just kind of hear what your symptoms are. So your symptoms are the things that you are feeling that indicate that you are sick. So that's the first one, doctor. Second one, I'm just going to pause for a second, say hi. I forgot to look down, but there's 28 people watching. So good morning, Willis. Good morning, Mary. Good morning, Yada and Lila and Rajgar, Owen, William, and Karen. Welcome back, guys, for another live stream Friday. We're looking at people and the jobs they do. So this one's kind of near and dear to my heart. This is farmer. So a farmer is someone who either grows plants or crops, we call them, or raises livestock, which are the animals that they raise for meat or for milk. So here we have a farmer on a tractor. He's out in the field and it looks like he's cultivating his crop. So the plants that are growing are called a crop. Farmers live on a farm. That's where the word farmer comes from. And generally on a farm, if they have animals, the animals will be in a barn. So the building where we put animals is called a barn, and the place where farmers grow crops is called a field. The reason farmers are near and dear to my heart, that means there's it's the job I appreciate a lot. It's because my mom and dad were farmers, and I grew up on a farm. I grew up on a farm where we had cows and we milked cows. And that's why when you watch my other videos, you see that I'm usually out and about on my farm. I don't milk cows anymore. We just grow flowers, but I live on a farm. Good morning, Cringe Master Morrisons. How's it going over there in Grimsby? Hopefully pretty good. And good morning, Wen Yan Lee. So the next job we have here, police officer. So you see here we have a police officer. So a police officer keeps people safe, and a police officer looks for people who have committed crimes. So the only time I've ever seen a police officer, though, is if I have gotten a speeding ticket. So a speeding ticket is a ticket or a fine that you get if you drive your car too fast. So generally when you speed, when you drive your car too fast, a police officer will pull you over. So they pull you over onto the side of the road and they give you a ticket. But police officers also fight crime. So they're out there in the towns and cities and communities arresting criminals who are doing things that are illegal. So police officer, generally a police officer works at a police station and they drive around in their, we usually call them police cruisers. You can also call them cop cars or police cars. So police officers keeping us safe, making sure that there's law and order all around us. So police officer. So someone who works really closely with a doctor is a nurse. So a nurse is someone that also works either in a doctor's office or at a hospital. A nurse's job is to just kind of take care of patients. So when you're in a hospital, you're called a patient, and a nurse is the person who will come and take your temperature. She'll come and make sure that you're feeling okay. She'll probably take your blood pressure. That's when they wrap something on your arm and then they pump it, and then they can tell what your blood pressure is. But generally they're in charge of the care of patients at a hospital, and they work with the doctor closely, giving you medicines, etc., etc. So nurse. Fun fact, my sister is a nurse. Just going to say hi to a few more people. Hi, Elena and Anna and Mili and Elham and Lias and Abdallah and Nanya and Edebayat, and Kenzao. Welcome, thanks for watching. We're going over people and jobs today. So, lawyer. So a lawyer is someone who represents you when you have legal problems or when you have to do something involving the law. So a lawyer is someone who, if you needed to go to court, if you needed to see a judge, you would hire a lawyer to represent you. So he's a person who will research your case, who will research the law, and he will argue on your behalf in front of a judge. Now, lawyers do a lot more than just represent people in court. They also help if you buy property. They help with all of the paperwork, we call it. So there's lots of documents involved when you buy a house, and so you need a lawyer to help you do that legally. So lawyers are experts in the law that you hire when you need to do things where there's a lot of legal paperwork. Another example would be if you do a will. So a will is a document that says what will happen with everything you have when you die. So a lawyer will help you plan all that. So lawyer. This next one is also, Mary says that she's a nurse. Very cool. Mary, I appreciate that you are a nurse because nurses are awesome. My next one's even maybe more near and dear to my heart as a profession, as an occupation, and that's teacher. As some of you know, I am a teacher. So a teacher is someone who works at a school, who works in a classroom. So a classroom is the room that the teacher teaches in, and they teach students. In Canada, we have elementary schools for younger children, and we have high schools for older children. I work in a high school. So that's grade 9 through 12. So students are between the ages of 13 and about 17 or 18. So a teacher teaches lessons. So a teacher plans a lesson to get ready to teach their class, and then a teacher teaches a lesson or instructs their students. And usually, especially in high school, teachers, they specialize in a certain area. So my specialty is teaching computer science, is teaching business, and teaching French, and teaching English. That's a lot. Currently, this semester, I'm teaching business and I'm teaching French. Mais je ne veux pas parler français maintenant. I don't want to speak French right now because this is an English lesson. Hello again to everyone who's joining. Hello Zane, hello John, hello Busakorn. And then hi, John Lee, welcome. Hey, here's another one. We have a lot of people in my community who are firefighters. So firefighters are people who, when a fire breaks out in a building, they're the ones that go to the building with the fire truck. Usually when they drive the fire truck, they have on a siren. So I'll try to make the sound, but it's like, ooh. I'm not very good at making the sound, but a fire truck is driven by firefighters to a fire, and usually they have the siren going, so people know that they need to get out of the way. You can see these firemen have a fire hose, so the water is being sprayed out of the fire hose. And generally firefighters, when they're not fighting a fire, they're at a fire hall. So in our local town, we have a fire hall. Basically at a fire hall, that's where they have their fire trucks. And then they work there until there's a fire. In addition to fires, firefighters in Canada, they go to every car accident. So if there's a car accident, the firefighters are experts at getting people out of vehicles if they're in an accident. And Kuhn says that he's a Chinese doctor. That's awesome, Kuhn. That's very cool. It's, I had heart surgery. I love doctors. They fix you up. Yen Shen says that they're an engineer. I haven't talked about engineers yet, and I don't think it's on my list. But an engineer is someone who designs things, so that's really cool. Rajgar says that they are a teacher, and they also work in high school. Very cool to hear what some of you do. And William says that his wife is a nurse in Canada, and she works in the province of PEI, so very, very cool. And Rajgar says he's also teaching computers. Awesome stuff. Hey, this is an older picture, but the next job or occupation that I'm talking about is pilot. So you can see here, actually I think in this plane, the person in the back is the pilot. I'm not sure how these work. This is an old plane, but a pilot is someone who flies an airplane. Usually you have a pilot and a co-pilot. There's usually two pilots when you fly on a commercial flight. And a pilot obviously works in an airplane and goes to an airport for their job. So airplanes obviously take off and land at airports. They are flown by pilots and they fly all over the world. So again, pilot and co-pilot. The place where the pilot sits in the plane is called the cockpit. And from the front of the plane in the cockpit, that's where they fly the plane. So pilot. Morning, Saba. Morning, Max. Ilana asks if there's often fires around my place or where I live. There's not a lot, but I think about once a month they're called to a fire. Sometimes in the summer, people have a little campfire outside and it gets out of hand, we call it, where it lights the grass on fire. And sometimes buildings tend to burn down too. So I want to say hi to Lulu, who is also saying hi. She's delighted. Wants to know how many times a week I do a live stream. Friday mornings, Lulu. And Fabio says, hello, Bob, how's it going? It's going pretty good. I'm a little tired today, but it's going pretty good. Next job, architect. This one's hard to say. People tend to say this wrong when they're learning English, but an architect is someone who designs buildings. So you can see this person is drawing what we call a blueprint. Even though it's not blue, we still call this a blueprint. A blueprint is a design that an architect creates of a floor plan of a new building. So if you were wanting to build a house, you would hire an architect to draw up the plans for you, to create blueprints for the house, so that the people who build the house have, a drawing or plan to go by. So architect. Pretty cool job. You get to make the world look really neat when you design buildings. So. Baker. So a baker is someone who bakes bread and other baked goods. So you can see this baker is baking loaves of bread. A baker works in a bakery. So you can see how the name of the job and the person are related. So a baker works in a bakery, and they bake more than just bread. They bake baked goods like cookies and brownies and croissants. You'll have to look up some of these words, but generally a baker works in a bakery. They make bread dough and they bake the bread in an oven. So a bakery is a hot place to work, I think. I would imagine that that's a pretty hot place. Next few jobs, we're going to look at plumber. So a plumber is someone who works with pipes. So you can see this plumber is in a house, and it looks like he's installing a faucet on a sink. A plumber is the person who, when a house is being built, they come in and they install all of the pipes. So they install the cold water pipes, the hot water pipes, the hot water heater, so that you have hot water in your house. They would install sinks, so this is a sink. And in a bathroom, they would install toilets, so you have a place to go to the washroom. But a plumber, it's a pretty important job. If you're a plumber, you should move to Canada, because we don't have enough plumbers in Canada right now. Another person who works on a house is an electrician. So our houses have electricity, and an electrician would come and install all of the wiring. And they would put on the wall, the spot on the wall where you plug something in is called an outlet. So an electrician comes in and he installs all of the wiring so that your house can have electricity. And then as well, if you have a problem in your home where the electricity isn't working, you would call an electrician. They would come and fix that for you. So electrician. This is another job where we don't have enough people doing this in Canada. If you're a bricklayer and you want to move to Canada, just come on over, because we don't have enough bricklayers. So here we have a bricklayer. He's building a wall, a brick wall. He's putting down mortar. This is called mortar. And he's putting a brick on top. So he's laying a brick wall. You can't quite see it in the picture, but he has a string line here to keep the bricks level. But yeah, this is a bricklayer, and he's laying bricks to build a brick wall. Dean247 says that they're a teacher as well. Very, very cool. And then Abdallah says, I don't have a profession right now, but I would like to be a singer in the future. Very cool. I can't sing very well at all. So that's cool that you have dreams of being a singer. Another job that has to do with building things is carpenter. So a carpenter is someone who works with wood. So in Canada, a lot of our homes are built out of wood. We don't often build our houses with bricks or blocks. We usually use wood. So a carpenter is someone who builds things out of wood. So they would build houses out of wood. They would also build furniture. So furniture is things like chairs and desks. So carpenters build new homes out of wood. I don't know if you know this, but Canada has just an enormous amount of wood. We have lots of trees, so we build a lot of things out of wood. So carpenters are very important to help us build things. And usually a carpenter works wherever they need to work. Wait, I forgot to tell you. He's using a hammer, and he's putting in a nail. So he has a hammer and a nail. Other tools that a carpenter would use would be a saw. A saw is used to cut wood. And a drill. A drill is used to put holes in wood. So, mechanic. I have a lot here to go yet. Hopefully you're not getting bored of my lesson. This guy's a little hard to see, but a mechanic is the person who fixes cars and trucks. So if your car is not running right, or if your car needs an oil change, you would take it to a mechanic. A mechanic works in a garage. So in my local town, my mechanic's name is Phil, and he works in the local garage. And if my car needs something fixed, I take it to my mechanic named Phil, and he fixes it for me. This mechanic is using a wrench. So a wrench is the tool that you use to loosen and tighten bolts and nuts, and he's working on a car engine. So mechanic fixes cars and trucks, works in a garage, and I wish I knew a little more about how to fix cars. That would be cool. Mustafa says, hi Bob, how are you? Doing good. I'm really doing good. How do you spell the thing between the bricks? It's called mortar. So M-O-R-T-A-R. I put that in the chat for you. And then Gurveer Singh, I see that you have some questions there. I'll have to answer those a bit later. I'm going to finish up the jobs for a sec. So this is upside down. So now, did you know that's what we call it? So this is right side up. This is upside down. So I'll put it right side up. Computer programmer. We all use phones, right? We all have phones. We all use computers, and someone has to write the software for it. So this is, I don't know if this is actually a computer programmer, but this person is working on writing computer code. So a computer program writes computer code so that computers and smartphones have software or apps that know what to do. So a long time ago, I actually did some computer programming, but I found it a little bit boring sometimes to do computer programming. But a computer programmer programs computers. And the thing he writes is called a computer program. So this is close to, someone mentioned that they wanted to be a singer. You can also have a job as a musician. So you can see this guy's playing a banjo. I don't know if you're familiar with that instrument, but you could have a job as a musician. So you could play music. Musicians usually work at restaurants or bars. They usually play in a band, and they just perform music for people who come to watch. In the summer, we sometimes have what we call festivals, like an outdoor festival. I think you'll recognize the word because festival is a pretty common word in most languages. But we'll have festivals, and you go to the festival and you sit outside and you listen to some musicians playing. So, and along with that, musicians usually play in a band, and there's usually a singer. So that kind of goes along with it. I don't have a sheet for that. Jack says he likes programming. That's very cool. Karen says she has a cool job too. She's a housewife. So in English we call that housewife. We also call it stay-at-home mom. So I was actually a stay-at-home dad for a little bit. And my wife is a stay-at-home mom, but she also has a flower farm. So she kind of does two things. And being a mom is very challenging. I have 5 kids. It's a lot of work. It's like when we have supper, when we have a meal together as a family, it's like our house is a little restaurant. That's how much work it is. Olga also says she's a stay-at-home mom. Very cool job. Realtor. So if you want to buy a house in Canada, the people who sell houses are called realtors. So if I wanted to buy a house, I would have to use a realtor. One sec. If I wanted to sell my house, I would have to use a realtor or hire a realtor. So you can see this realtor here has a sign for sale. If you drive around in Canada, you'll see houses for sale, and then the phone number is the number of the realtor. So you don't usually sell your house yourself in Canada. You usually have a realtor or a real estate agent. That's the other word for it, realtor or real estate agent. So they work in a realty office, and they're just specialized in selling houses. Sales and marketing specialist. Yeah, I didn't do salesperson, so I'm almost done here, and I think I should do another live stream about jobs in the future because there's so many of them. But professor. So we did teacher, so there's a job teacher, but there's also professor. So a professor works at a university. So in Canada you have elementary school, high school, and then university or college. They're kind of the same thing, there's a slight difference. But a professor is someone who teaches at a university. So usually he teaches in a large classroom. Sometimes we say that professors give lectures. So you go to a lecture or you go to a class. But a professor is someone who teaches at a college or university. And then let's say you're sick and you need medicine or you need drugs. You would go to a pharmacist. So even though this starts with P, it's pharmacist. And you can see in the background, there's all bottles with different pills or medicine in them. So if you are someone like me who's getting a bit older, there's a chance that you take certain medicines to feel healthy. So you would get those from a pharmacist. But in Canada, you can't just go to a pharmacist and get medicine. You need a note from your doctor called a prescription. So your doctor decides that you need a certain drug, and they give you a prescription, and then the pharmacist is allowed to give you those drugs. This is the last one, author. So author, writer is another word for this job. It's someone who either writes books or writes novels or writes articles for a newspaper. I have to be careful here though. An author writes books. A writer writes articles or blog posts or books. So author is definitely a term for someone who's writing a book. And then writer can be used to talk about other people as well. So that's my pile. My pile of different jobs is done. We've been at this for about 26 minutes. And some of you might have some questions. I'll be happy to answer them. I feel like I have a tickle in my throat though. I hope I don't lose my voice. I'm just going to scroll back and look at some of the questions. People say that my lesson's very interesting. That's awesome. I want to highlight again Karen and Olga, who are stay-at-home moms. That is definitely a very important job that people do in the world as well, because kids need someone to help raise them to be good people. Abdallah asks, if you weren't a global teacher, what career would you like to have? So I always wanted to be a farmer. Doesn't that sound funny? I don't think I would have been a good farmer, but because my mom and dad were farmers, I wanted to be a farmer, but my dad and mom said, you need to go to university. So I did what they said. That's what good kids do, right? I don't think... Just one sec, let me check something. But because my mom and dad were farmers, I wanted to be a farmer, but my dad... Oh, I see, there's two things going on there. Anyways, I wanted to be a farmer, but my mom and dad encouraged me to go to university. So I did, and I became a teacher, and I love it. So no regrets, we say in English. Columnist, yes, writes articles in a newspaper. Mustafa asks about though, even though, and although. So we kind of use those interchangeably, a bit of a grammar question there. So if I was to say, even though I wanted to be a farmer, I'm happy that I'm a teacher. So it kind of means even though, although, you could use those interchangeably. Though is a little different though. So though is a little different though. I'm getting a little confused here. I'm going to stop trying to explain it without preparing a little bit. So hopefully I didn't explain that badly. Dean247 asks, what's the difference between drugs and medicines? They're essentially the same thing. So a pharmacist works at a pharmacy, but we also call it a drugstore. So you can go to the drugstore to get medicine, to get drugs. They are really the same thing, pretty much. So druggist versus pharmacist versus chemist. So that really depends on what country you're in. In Canada, the person at the pharmacy is a pharmacist. And I know in the UK and in other countries, you can use druggist. Actually, I haven't heard druggist before, but chemist. So it just really depends on what country you're in, for sure. So anyways, that was fun. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. We'll do another one next week, Friday. Thank you again for watching. If you didn't click the thumbs up button yet, you should click it now. If you haven't subscribed, there's a little red button down there that says subscribe. Please subscribe and you'll get notifications when I do a new video. But that was fun. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, it's always a good idea to watch this video again tomorrow, because everything that you have heard will be reinforced. It's always a good idea to read things twice, to watch things twice. Not that I want more views, it is nice, but you should, if you have time, watch the video again tomorrow. I'm just going to check some comments here. Lubica says she has a dream to speak English fluently, and my lessons are very helpful. So thank you for the compliment. I'm going to wrap this up. Next week, I'm not sure, next week Friday, what the topic will be, but I'll be doing another live stream next Friday. So thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day. I actually have the day off today. If you're wondering why I just took some extra few minutes, I don't have to work today. So I'm going to head home now, and I'm going to just spend some time with my family. I hope you guys can do the same. So have a great weekend, and thanks again for watching. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to click the stop